But there was a Facebook discussion that went on a week or so ago, and I'll give a shout out to Fishy as well. But we need to attack this at a local level. We are going to gain more from electing 1,000 or 10,000 local officials and local political party committee members who can then change the direction of the local parties and everything than we will ever get out of a Ted Cruz or a Justin Amash or fill in the blank name who's going to hold a national office. Because we've got to change people's thinking. And that's not going to happen at a top-down level, because I think what we see in cases like this and in cases like gay marriage, that fundamentally Americans hate to be told what to do, what or what not to do. We want to be free.
Hang on a second, because you said electing local officials. Why isn't this just a culture thing? Why isn't it, having groups being willing to go out, whether it's churches, whether it's parents, whether it's whatever, having them go out and maybe teach to their kids, hey, listen, this is what this person says. This is why we believe this. This is why we say this. Why does it have to be politics? Fishy.
I can totally answer that, and I just did in chat. We didn't start this political battle. We didn't make everything on the conservative side about politics. The left comes at us that way. It's why I kept saying that, this is a war. People are under attack, and conservatives of a very religious and conservative and really red Republican people feel as though they have been under attack for years, and that their mindset is a bunker mentality, and that we have to protect what we have, and we have to, segregate, and we have to get into our bubbles and kind of protect the little space that we have left. There's some of that entrenchment feeling about Texas as well, which is why, candidates who are supposed to be running on one thing in an office, it's, about maybe responsibility in some level of government, will instead run on issues like gay marriage or the war on Christmas and things like that, because that plays to a bunker mentality people. But that said, if the problem is that government is everywhere and ubiquitous, and you can certainly make that case, and I'm bringing Snowden in because here we have the NSA and all of this stuff that is proven. I mean, if you're looking at just the materials that have come out, it's proven that the government is acting wrongly here. Whatever you think about Snowden, the government is overreached. It's been in a, decided in court. Yep. It's been found. So those things are proof that the government is way too much in our business, steering us way too much. And the answer to that has to be a political solution. We didn't want it to be. We didn't ask for that. We didn't start that fight, but we have to finish it. Now, that said, the selling point to people is, well, when you're free and you have smaller government, the government's not all up in your grill. The government isn't doing all these things, deciding all these things for you, your diet, your insurance, your exercise plan, your income, all of those things. So in order to talk to people in a way that transcends the whole political mess, we have to very carefully learn the language of liberty. And I'm afraid for some people that don't speak it as a first language, they're going to have to learn it, so that you may have to give up some things. You may have to let go of some fights that you really think are important, because the overall fight is about the government control. If you want to use the government as, the tool that you use to social engineer people because you think the outcomes are better when it's engineered your way, you're going to have a hard time dialing back the government in places where it's acting absolutely horribly against your interests.
You're here.
I was waiting for Neil to actually say that. So, in this situation, I always look at at fiscal issues, national security issues, and social issues kind of in three separate categories sometimes. The fiscal issues and national security issues end up being in the same category most of the time because they end up dealing with, well, money. The social issues are in their own separate category, but they all fall under one incorporated category that's above it, and that's what the U.S. Constitution says. And we can't just throw the Constitution in people's faces. We have to be able to then explain our reasons for it. Some people aren't going to like it. I've had a social conservative friend of mine who I'm very, very good friends with who says, I understand where you're coming from and I'm great that you cling to that Constitution, and I've had other people say, and there are other people who say, the Constitution's hundreds of years old. Who gives a crap what the old white guys have to say?
Look at it this way. We are incensed that Catholic organizations and other religious organizations are being forced to provide birth control, and the hospitals they're attempting to force hospitals to perform abortions.
Yeah,
okay,
ridiculous.
The flip side of that is this kind of case. Forcing businesses to do business and transact business with people that they're not comfortable with. And the whole thing, if you think the government is the tool, then you're going to get it used on you in some way.
Yeah.
We have to think about that. Those on the right especially who like that sort of angle, they have to think the same government that they want to steer policy is the same government that's telling Catholic hospitals to perform abortions and hand out birth control for free.
I've always thought that the issue was, the government can get changed through the culture, not necessarily the government changing the culture. And I could be wrong there.
Well, this is a whole different president, a whole different kind of campaigning, and a whole different system of moving the culture. I think that the culture's pulling them along, but this administration is targeting the culture in a big way.
Let's end on a lighter note. And for one, Neil, I just want to say this from the very beginning. Thank you very much for, actually all of y'all, but Neil, thank you very much for being involved in this, especially as a first-time guest. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and for defending your position as well.
It was my sincere pleasure.
Now,
thank you for
and Fishy, thank you for being here, especially on short notice.
Love you, mean it.
Alan, thank you for being here, and thank you for being involved in this.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're trying to build a brand here, so everything I can do to help.
Now, let's end on a lighter note, which has to do with something that the president's Twitter account, posted this afternoon. It's a picture of a guy, a hipster-looking guy, I guess, sitting there wearing plaid pajamas, drinking a cup of something warm. And under it, it says, wear pajamas, drink hot coffee, talk about getting health insurance. Hashtag get talking, BarackObama.com/talk. Why?
I just posted an alternative from with a picture of Joe Biden.
Oh, God,
Sorry
that's even
for the
worse.
Hey, ladies, I've got hot chocolate and an empty spot on the couch. Get snuggling.
With all of this, I think I said this on my show last night, and I really think there's some value to this, but we really just need to accept the wisdom of the wonderful House Minority Leader, Nancy Pelosi, and embrace the suck. Doesn't that just sum up government? Embrace the suck, people. That's really, we want to get talking about insurance with all these wonderful plans that are costing twice as much as what we had before. Embrace the suck.
Well, I was just astounded at how punchable a face this kid has. I mean, he just looks so smarmy and full of himself. I mean, it's like it was calculated to infuriate anybody who looked at it.
But here's the funny thing: is that there's a series of these.
Yeah, I'm looking at several of them. There's a Happy New Year one, but it's like, I don't know. They're not only are they trying to get people to talk about their blatant propaganda over the holidays around Thanksgiving, but they're using this, perhaps the single worst spokesman, or not even spokesman, but model that they could possibly have chosen for this. Single worst. I mean,
I think they have some blind spots. But then again, the president goes into, I'm bringing Snowden up again. The president goes into a meeting with all these executives talking about the NSA and how the records will be managed and what they can have access to, and talks about healthcare.gov.
Yeah, and talks about Obamacare. Yeah, it's just, I really wish we could go on for another hour, but I have to go to work.
It reminds me of the whole SNL skit back when Dukakis and Bush were running against each other, and John Lovitz kept listening to 1,000 Points of Light, Stay the Course, and he turns to the camera, how am I losing to this guy?
Here's the best. Here's the best point. In the Daily Mail story about this. In Tuesday's meeting, Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer was seated next to Vice President Joe Biden, whose wandering hands were the subject of nationwide jokes on Monday. The vice president was photographed at a recent holiday party, posing with a reporter who was pictured apparently making sure his grasp didn't stray north of her waist.
That's our Biden.
That's our Biden.
And never forget, he honestly thinks he's running for president in 2016.
I've said my conspiracy theory on that.
The best one is Steven Crowder's Rain Man Joe Biden. It just says it all for me.
Hey, all he needs to do, his pathway to the nomination, he just needs to, hire Neil Kinnock as his speechwriter. That way he can't plagiarize.
Alan, where can we find you online and on the Twitters and all that stuff? At
Alan Bordius, ALLAN BOURDIUS. Also, Their Finest Hour at blogspot.com. Monday nights here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. Also, we'll be, I think, tag teaming this show. We're still figuring that out. And occasionally, not often enough, sorry guys, at posts at Pocketful of Liberty too.
Neil?
Well, I do my best work on Twitter, my most inane babbling, but I'm also found at Pocketful of Liberty. And lately I've been writing booze reviews at The Federalist.
Ooh. Booze reviews at The Federalist. What's your latest review?
I did a hot toddy for the cold weather.
All right.
Start them off with tea.
Fishy?
I'm sorry, I'm going to be commenting on the Federalist booze reviews, but seriously, at freeradicalnetwork.com and on Twitter at something fishy. That's with an IE at the end.
I am Taylor, your humble host. You can find me online at EYE Desert Blog. That's at iDesertBlog. You can also hear me, for Roundtable of Extreme Liberty. You can hear me on Right War with Liz Harrison, a.k.a. The Boss, every Wednesday and Thursday, actually supposedly starting